Welcome back. This is Washington Watch. I'm Tony Perkins. The website is tonyperkins.com. 14 states are suing the Biden administration. This is like over and over. We're seeing this. Well, this time it's over its refusal, the Biden administration's refusal to provide the communications that preceded the infamous October 4th Department of Justice memo targeting concerned parents across the nation. Well, since the release of that memo, it was revealed that the White House worked together with the National School Boards Association, which equated the pushback from concerned parents as a form of domestic terrorism. With me now to talk about the 14-state effort and to get some answers in their effort to get the answers is the one leading it, Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita. General Rokita, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks, Tony.
So, should we be surprised you using the Freedom of Information Act request to just ask the administration, give us the record, show us what happened, come forth with it, and they're saying nothing, right?
Yeah, nothing after 5 months, and initially I didn't use anything that any citizen or person in this country could use, the Freedom of Information laws, to understand what the relationship was between the Department of Justice and the National School Boards Association in terms of this. Number one, at the end of September, the School Boards Association calling the parents of this country who simply are caring about the raising of their children, in this case, vis-a-vis what curriculum they were being taught in their public school, and calling them domestic terrorists for it. And then 5 days later, now think about this, Tony, 5 days later, the Department of Justice coming out with a memo to federal prosecutors, FBI, and how to work with local law enforcement to, in fact, go into school board meetings or at least monitor them in some way to see, what acts these parents were doing in furtherance of domestic terrorism. Now, as you know, Tony, the federal government doesn't do anything in 5 days. So the obvious connection here is that it was probably pre-coordinated.
Well, when I saw the letter from the National School Boards Association and the precise language used in referencing various statutes, including the Patriot Act, all these other provisions that almost no one would know, told me they were being coached by somebody.
Right. And, but let's be honest about it. I always do honest investigations. I want to know what the facts are. So tell us the facts. Ignoring me and 13 other states now for 5 months, thinking that we're just going to get bored and go away, is not going to be the final result here. So what we did, because what their inaction has amounted to was a violation of the Freedom of Information Act laws, as we filed suit, and what we expected to get is a court order forcing them to divulge these communications. Now, to be clear, we're not asking for any particular investigation or anything like that, which they would easily comment in response and say, hey, this is exempt from FOIA because it's an active investigation. We're asking for the communications leading up to the issuance of Merrick Garland's DOJ memo to law enforcement. And because of thankfully, some enterprising parents who grouped together and asked for a different Freedom of Information Act request, I believe, got an email or two, I think probably by mistake. I don't think the government was thinking they wanted to give it up, but actually giving us an indicia of evidence, a little bit of evidence showing that there was at least some communication. And from that, these like-minded attorneys general, I'm thankful for each one of them and the states who have joined in this effort, have broadened and with more force have asked for this information. So we're going to get it one way or the other. And it should be very chilling to every American that your federal government would coordinate with an outside group this way, basically an association, maybe of school board members, to put a chill on parents for simply being concerned about what they were being taught, what their kids were being taught in school.
So I want to unpack that for just a moment, General Rokita, because someone's saying, "Look, what do you expect from this administration? They've done this kind of stuff from the beginning. Let's move on. I mean, we're now watching the world implode over in Ukraine because of bad policy choices by this administration. We're paying over $4 a gallon for gasoline because of bad policies from this administration. But it's important that we establish what occurred here. So explain that to our viewers and listeners.
So what we want is to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Number one, we want accountability. We want transparency. We want, and every taxpayer and citizen. That's our oldest son who just walked in, working from home today. We want transparency. We want accountability. We want to make sure every American understands to what extent this communication or collusion or whatever C word you want to use was being done against regular people who were going to a school board meeting because they cared about their kids. That if we find what we fear we might find, that should raise the hair on the back of all of our necks, because at that point, really, we're talking about Russia and its aggression. We're no different than the Soviet Union at that point.
Absolutely, because we've already seen that the National School Boards Association apologized for the memo and backed away from it, but the administration did not back away from their direction in terms of beginning to target and track these parents. So this is ongoing.
That's true. That's a great point, Tony. Merrick Garland, Department of Justice, have not rescinded that memo. All right, so they're putting their middle finger up in our face and saying, no, we'll do what we want, and it's got to stop. If we are going to be a country that abides by the rule of law, that means the government is subject to us. This isn't an oligarch situation. This isn't a king situation where we're subjects to the court, the king's court. We, the people, are supposed to be over our government. The only thing over us, two things over us really, are the rule of law and, above all else, God.
Right. Well, General Rokita, I want to thank you for not giving up, because you're on all of these. We've seen a number of lawsuits. You've been a key part of each one of them, and as we say down south, it's like, you're on this administration like white on rice. You're just all over it, and we're grateful for it and want you to continue to fight for our freedoms and our rights.
Yeah, I know it's all coming at us, and we think, oh, we get desensitized to it, but it's really your attorneys general in like-minded states that are making sure that none of this gets forgotten.
Absolutely, and we stand with you. Thanks so much for being with us today.